Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear us okay? Fantastic. All right, we will start off just with some quick introductions. So my name is Jonathan Woolf. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Intent HQ. Really pleased to be in front of you all today. We are the AI Company of the Year in 2024. We're delighted and honored to have won that award. We're going to talk to you today, together with Ali, who's the Executive Director of Data Science at Omnicom, about the future right now, the future that is happening today, okay? Ali, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Ali Malek. I'm the Executive Director at OMD EMEA, an advertisement agency. And at OMD EMEA, we try to design data-driven platforms for clients to optimize their return on their investment. So, yeah, thank you for being here.
Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about hyper-personalization as opposed to just personalization, okay? So yeah, we have some examples here. Ali, go.
So yeah, in today's world, customers really expect brands to understand their needs. They want a more tailored interactions between the brand and the customer. So this is quite crucial. I don't want to go over the statistics. You can look it up in internet, how it can impact the advertisement efforts. But the questions like what kind of content the client or the customer expects, or what's going to be the next best recommendation to deliver to the client, or for example, what kind of tone of voice does the customer prefer? So all these questions are really important for brands to address, and they need to address them in real time.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the things, one of the things we're going to be talking to you is using AI and using some of the latest advances in technology on the device, bringing AI to the device itself to understand when is the best time to engage with the customer, to be able to understand what sort of ad format is most likely to work with the customer as well. Just wanted to call out some of the key milestones. I'm not going to drain this. We first saw things have evolved enormously. I wouldn't have believed even 3 or 4 years ago that we'd be able to talk to you today about some of the things that we are talking to you about. Some of these milestones may resonate with many of you in the audience, but yeah, we started using, personally speaking, I was at Telefonica for 10 years prior to joining Intent HQ. We started using data-driven personalization way back, but particularly 2013, 2014, we built up a significant data science capability internally in Barcelona, as it happened, but then fanning out across the different territories of Telefonica. We started using it to drive marketing and programmatic advertising, which was when I first met Intent HQ. Then we started to use it to really understand the customer better and not to be hitting the whole base with every offer in the same way, actually to be ignoring quite large portions of the base and just to be targeting those within the base at the right moment, at the right time. We're going to talk to you about some of those techniques. A big one for me personally, for whatever I did badly in a previous life, I was given the GDPR program to run at Telefonica. At first I sort of thought, oh no, gosh. Then of course, it quickly dawned on me that it was going to be super relevant to everything that I love doing, which is driving the right sort of personalized engagement with the customer. Ali, are there any milestones that you'd like to call out at all, maybe over on the right?
Yeah, so if you go to the next slide.
Which I will try. Okay.
Yeah, so thanks so much. So yeah, basically when we talk about personalization, it's actually the combination of science and arts, which is super important. The science, why we need to focus on the science side of things. Basically, in an advertisement agency, the most important question that we always ask is a very simple question: who we want to target and what we want to offer in order to increase, again, our return on investment. So all these framework, all these questions can be reframed in a, can you go to the next slide, please? Can be reframed in a different way. So that's what we want to call causal AI or causal inference. So in this framework, we want to categorize customers into 4 different groups. And the idea is we want to understand which group we can affect by our advertisement or our marketing effort. Because those groups which cannot be affected either negatively or positively, we don't want to waste money on them. So basically we want to focus on a smaller group. So the first group I want to talk about is those which we will call lost cause. Those that they don't want to buy, and no matter if we show them advertisement or do any marketing effort, we don't want to waste money on them. There is another group, which again, we cannot change their mind, but the good thing about them is they are our loyal customers and they actually don't need any marketing effort. We don't want to invest on them as well. There is another tricky group, which we call them do not disturb, and that is basically those who have maybe some positive attitude about the product, but maybe adding some advertisement to this workflow, they might change their mind, and basically it's like they don't want to go ahead anymore. So our advertisement can affect negatively on them. They can be busy people, like taking the advertisement as spams, or they are just unsure and it's just not the right time. And the last group is what we call persuadable, those people who are not sure about the product, but they are just looking for a small nudge on our end to convert. And this is the group that we want to pay on them. Yeah. And basically this approach is in contrast to spray and pray approach. We want to just target to one niche group.
Yeah, so and we're actually seeing better results now by not targeting 3/4 of the base that we would have targeted a few years ago, just focusing on the sweet spots and getting the response, and actually providing the customer with a much better experience, because they're not going to get hammered by messages when actually they're going to move up anyhow.
And actually, this problem might look quite simple. We want to build 4 categories, but in reality, it's not that simple. Actually, all these categorization depends on everything. It depends on the location, it depends on the time, it depends on context actually, it depends on the creative that you want to show. For example, one type of segment might change to the other type of segment if we change the message, like we convert the persuadable to do not disturb. So it's a very complex landscape. And actually there is a various different ways of how to connect a product or how to offer a product to a customer. There is a many-to-many relationship. And in order to figure out, if you go to the next slide, so basically our aim is to turn this many-to-many relationship, to optimize it towards a one-to-one relationship. Where the right product is offered to the right person at the right time, at the right location, via a right message, through a right channel. And this is quite challenging, and this problem can only be solved in real time using data-driven and AI.
Yeah, spot on. So one of the things, there's kind of 2 levels to this. On the one hand, the state-of-the-art capability, really applying the very best machine learning and data science and AI techniques to be able to do this. An equally important part of this, we have discovered, is putting this in the hands of the commercial teams, the marketing teams, the agency teams, so they can leverage and understand this with a beautiful, simple UI and understand where the patterns and the value opportunities across the base may exist. And we can do that. We enable them to do that. So all of the clever data science that Ali was just talking about, we expose that through a super simple interface. We allow you to be able to define exactly the results that you want. We allow you to be able to say, if I want a guaranteed success rate for a particular campaign with a particular tone of voice, I want to understand what the results are going to be before I actually launch that activity. So that, one of our learnings from Telefonica years ago was absolutely putting the power of this. We have to make it simple for the data scientists and the data analysts, but actually also for our marketing and our go-to-market teams as well.
So yeah, talking about data-driven, the foundation of any data-driven work is, of course, data. If you don't have data, we shouldn't go for data-driven. So data comes from different sources. Each have their advantages and disadvantages. So zero-party data, which is a data that is shared by the customer voluntarily to the brand, like the height, age, name, even their email. So some of them are quite sensitive data. Then we have first-party data, which is super important because they are quite reliable, and they are basically the interaction of customer on the brand's website or their environment, or like telemetry of their apps. So these data are collected, and they are great indicators of customers' behavior. And then we have second-party data, which is the same as first-party. It's just the first-party data of our data partners, which can be shared. And then we have third-party data, which is probably the creepiest of all. And this is data collected by third-party companies and are sold to the brands, so they add more insights. The thing is, none of these data sets are complete. And if you want to get a full view over the customer, we need to combine them using either using statistics or other mathematical methods or AI. We want to combine them in order to get the full 360 view over customer's profile.
Perfect. Now, when we combine them, it starts to get easier to join things up. Perhaps it starts to get easier to re-identify the individual. We have a set of out-of-the-box privacy-enhancing technologies. It is imperative for a company in our business, but it's imperative for all our customers as well, to be right on the front foot with the very latest advancements in privacy-enhancing technologies. So we take not any of these technologies in isolation, but we apply layering techniques. So across our clients, we're looking to minimize the chances of re-identification. But one of the most important ones that you may not have seen before is talking about edge computing in the context of not identifying the customer. Imagine if you could market to the customer and you could personalize the interaction with that customer without actually knowing who they are. And that's where things get really interesting, because we have moved and taken advantage of some of the latest advances and the power, the increased power of the mobile phone. We have moved the technology to the device. So the device learns about you. It learns about you without knowing, oh, it's Jonathan, oh, it's Ali. It learns about this mobile phone's behavior. So we use that, and one way to think about it is actually imagine what you understand about the customer from their engagement with your brand. Imagine what you could understand about the customer if you can see what they're doing in the rest of their lives, the rest of today, the rest of the week, month, the rest of the year, and actually see, oh yeah, they do play tennis, they go for a run, they like cars, they've got a second house, they commute into the office 2 or 3 times a week, all of that sort of stuff. Some of the challenges there, you've got battery consumption, you've got the training of the models, they've got what we call blind personalization. So imagine being able to trigger that message to an individual with the ultimate context, the tone of voice, the right time, the right product, but we don't know exactly who we're communicating to. That gets interesting. So with the edge technologies, running all of this with an SDK that consumes less than 1% of battery life every 24 hours, we pick up a whole new set of signals with the appropriate consents from the mobile device. We typically surf on the back of the brand's existing terms and conditions, and it allows us to predict and identify hundreds of new insights. Is the person about to fly? Are they about to move home? What may it be? And we pick up these signals from Bluetooth, from the accelerometer. We see the installed app footprint on the device, but we do not know who the individual is. We just know this mobile device is about to run. This mobile device goes into work once a week, whatever it may be. Some of the things that are quite interesting, and Ali and I were talking about this before, for any conventional data science models, when you start to take some of the inputs coming out of the edge, coming off the device, those models will only get better. Those models will only improve. The accuracy will only get better. So imagine the way in which you might infer the age of customers who interact with your brands at the moment, and how much better, in this example, you could infer the age when you see all of these additional signals as well. So things like font size, average handset volume, average screen brightness, you'll soon tell the difference between a teenager and someone such as myself. My particular settings have changed. We use age just as one example, but we can predict all sorts of things so much better as a result of seeing those data points better and better. So typically, and this is quite a sweet example, this actually comes from a customer, they thought they were marketing to a male who was 40 to 50, lived in a particular area. Here's what their average spend was. Long story short, they weren't marketing to that individual. They were marketing to someone who was 25 to 32, was a family person. They've now got a really deep understanding of their current brand and affinity preferences and what it is they like to do in their time. We use this capability to understand, as I was saying earlier, the patterns of movement. We use this capability for the AI to identify automatically when is the best moment and the best time to engage with that customer as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we heard loads of cool things. We heard about data. We heard about a little bit about AI and what cool things we can do in Edge AI. But to give you a little bit of a bigger picture, so when we talk about data-driven AI and hyper-personalization, there is a full workflow which are interacting with each other. So on one side, the data is flowing in, like this demographic data or data coming from Edge AI.
Yeah.
And then we need to define what this data is going to be turned into, what kind of value it's going to add. Do we want to build like a recommendation system, a real-time discount system, creative generator, which is quite interesting, especially now that Gen AI is kind of a buzzword, or like a bidding strategy, changing our bidding strategy using AI that is already trained in order to place higher bids on those impressions which are higher, which are more probable to convert. Once we define this action layer, we need to activate them through different channels. Or let's say, for example, in social media, it will turn into a media post. In a DSP for programmatic, it will turn into a campaign. And the important thing is that we shouldn't stop at this point. Maybe we see, okay, there is a huge boost in our performance, but we should constantly monitor the system. And that's very important about all data-driven products, because usually data-driven products tend to degrade over time due to different reasons, either change in the distribution of data, or change in the model, or change in the business and context. So we need to constantly define this feedback loop and do this workflow continuously. Fetching data, training them, activation. And this full system requires different teams to collaborate with each other. On the left-hand side, we have data scientists and data engineers. In the middle side, we have software engineers. And in the end, for those monitoring and understanding and insight, we need marketeers. And managing this full system, thanks to the modern MLOps infrastructure in place, nowadays is quite easy. And all these will happen in less than a second. So we should be super agile.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thank you, Ali. So the big change, you will all have seen, I'm guessing, similar diagrams to this one. Main thing to point out here is not just taking data from the mobile app, from whatever apps you've got deployed, but taking data from the AI that is sitting on the phone, from the personal behavioral model of the individual that's sitting on the phone, bringing that into the overall platform, leveraging the existing privacy-enhancing technologies we have, the enrichment, and then outputting these far more qualitative audiences, whether it's to the ad tech platforms, to the MarTech platforms, from a content and creation perspective, actually putting the results out to the channels in our customers as well. So it could be the voice channel, could be physical stores channel, giving the people at the point of sale the actual information they need to be able to conduct a much better conversation. Just quickly, none of this would be complete without talking about some of the uplift, because we would not exist, our discipline would not exist if we could not get results for clients. This is big Indian conglomerate, one of our recent customers. The results, 9 times improvement in CTR rate. I've personally never seen that sort of uplift before. In terms of the lower cost per lead, I think these numbers speak for themselves. Would you like to say a couple of
Just
words?
very shortly, for one of the biggest automotive companies, we defined this full workflow for hyper-personalization, and the action layer that we targeted was bidding script, bidding strategy. Basically, we tweaked bidding strategy on different stages of the funnel differently, and we could reach the boost of 22 to 69% of improvement in our CPA.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Ali. We have other nice examples of customer uplift, but I am 31 seconds over time, so we will draw it to a close there. If anyone would like to speak to us afterwards or contact us, feel free, and thank you very much for your time and for listening.
Thanks so much.